I'm going to go with question C. We'll answer that one now, and then we'll save the other two for another episode. A little teaser for you guys. So, Elizabeth, what should I be tracking to know if my marketing is effective or not?
Yeah, this is a good question. And this is really,
Thank you.
it's really,
It's
you're
your
welcome.
question, actually.
I'll let you take credit for that. It's really multifaceted for sure. There's a lot that you want to track, but I'll keep it simple here. Let's start with your CRM. So inside your CRM, if you're using one thing that we see very commonly that is not tracked well is marketing sources. So there are a few metrics that you want to track with every source, which means if I go into your CRM, I should be able to see the events that you attend. I should be able to see all of the marketing where you're spending your money. I should be able to see Facebook groups, Facebook organic, Facebook ads. You really want to make sure that you've got every source that you could possibly think of, your truck wraps, your yard signs, whatever marketing sources that you have. And you might need to sit down and think about what all of those are. You need to be tracking every single one of those in your CRM. Now, I know that can be kind of difficult. Call tracking numbers are a really good way to do that. So I would definitely suggest that people look into something like CallRail. That's a fantastic way to be able to track some of those individual sources. You know, if you've got truck wraps with a specific number, if you've got your yard signs with a specific number, your Facebook ads have a different number, that kind of thing, that can be helpful. But you want to make sure you've got those sources in there, because here's what can commonly happen is if you're entering people manually into your CRM, which as we know, that is going to be something that happens. Some people are going to get automatically put in there from different sources if you have some integration set up. But if you don't, manual entries often get put in as like other or, Google. And very commonly, there are sources in there that need to be listed that aren't being tracked. So that's a big one. Make sure you've got your marketing sources in there, as many sources as you can think of. Then here's the other thing that you want to track. You want to track the amount of money that you're actually spending, the leads that you're getting, and the appointments that you're setting from those. So that's a big one. You have to be able to know your set rate to know if that marketing is actually being effective. And then you want to know from those appointments that are set, how many of those are turning into contracts, and then the value of those contracts. So you should be able to pull that report from your CRM or from your Google Sheets so that you can then see this marketing source. We spent these dollars. We had these many leads, these many appointments, these many contracts, and this was the value, so that you can actually figure out your cost per lead and your cost per customer. But one thing that we very frequently see is that people will put actual appointments set into their CRM, but they won't put just the leads because they think, well, we didn't even set that. We didn't even get a call back. We didn't even have a conversation with that person. Well, that is really valuable information to know for marketing, because if you're spending X amount of dollars and you're getting 10 actual leads and not a single one of those turned into an appointment, we need to know that, because there's something broken on the marketing side. We need to change our targeting. We need to change our messaging. We need to change our, location that we're actually focusing on there. So that's really, really important there. And then within each of these channels, let's just take social media, for example, you should be tracking some other metrics there, not just leads. You want to focus on the actual reach that you're getting. You want to focus on the actual engagement that you're getting. You want to see how many people are leaving social media and hopping over to your website. So that traffic is really, really valuable, because you guys, leads are great. Obviously, we all need leads. We want leads, but not everyone in our market is ready to fill out a form and get a roof today. A lot of people are not even thinking about their roof at all. Which means as we're farming our market, as we're putting our value out there, as we're getting people to know who we are and what we're, how we're the, most trusted person in our market, we need to make sure that we're paying attention to how many people are actually seeing that content, how many people are visiting our website and just thinking about it, how many people are watching those FAQ videos that we're putting out, how many people are, just clicking on certain pages on our website, because then we're going to know what's interesting to our market. What's engaging to our market? What's their buying process actually look like? Because once we know that, we're empowered to then spend our time and our effort in the right places. So marketing sources, your actual, the numbers that you're seeing move when it comes to the actual leads, the appointments, and the contracts, and then some KPI, some different KPIs and metrics on those individual channels as well. So we could literally create a massive monster of a spreadsheet for marketing. But CRMs out there are usually really pretty well equipped if you use them correctly. If you really build them out, they're pretty well equipped to give you the numbers that you're looking for. You have to take control of that, though. You've got to really be able to dig in and make sure that you're tracking those numbers.
100%. Yeah, that human element is important. Like, okay, you can look at the data, but you also have to be able to look at that from a qualitative perspective and try to draw some conclusions. And that's another reason why a marketing manager could really be a great friend to have inside your company, because as an owner, man, it's a lot to look at and track. So, for example, Elizabeth and I work on this stuff together on a weekly basis. We're tracking all the leads, appointments, sales, ROI, that sort of thing. And it's an ongoing process. So, for example, this morning, the particular gentleman who did not show up to our appointment, when we talked last week, just asked him some questions about why he reached out. And turns out he was at one of our or an event that I spoke at in 2019, so 4 years ago. And then he had a sales call with one of our guys last year in December. And then I had made a Facebook post and he responded to that like a couple weeks ago. So I can't look at a particular Facebook ad or a webinar or a post or a campaign and say, hey, this guy came from that thing. But I can put the human element into it and say, all right, well, events. We don't generally get a lot of new clients from events the week after the event, but over the course of the next year, 2 years, 3 years, it's a long-term brand building thing. Social media, okay, posting every day on social media. We don't know what post is going to trigger what person to reach out, but we know that it does work. So let's continue doing that. Let's continue doing events and investing in events, because we know that it's not just the immediate ROI, it's that long-term ROI. So that's why you need that human element in addition to the data that Elizabeth is talking about here. And another thing on that is this might seem overwhelming if you've never done it. And you might be like, oh yeah, we have to be a X number $1 million company a year in order to have some tracking in place. It is not that complex. A lot of our clients do have all this stuff tracked and we help them with it. So if that's something that you do want help with, again, reach out to us and we can guide you through what that looks like and how you would start to do that, because it is overwhelming. If you've never done it, it might be this big scary monster. Oh my gosh, I have no idea even where to start. I don't even know what questions to ask, right? But you can do it. And the most successful companies that we work with, they have their tracking pretty dialed in as much as they can. So it helps a ton.
Absolutely. Yeah, it can seem overwhelming for sure, especially if you've been doing it in a way that wasn't super clear or organized in the past. But if you sit down with some help, some support, and kind of get things organized, automate things if you can. If you don't have things automated, that's all right. There's still a lot, that human element helps a ton. I will say, one of the things we hear frequently is well, we don't know where people have heard about us, but that's a big one to ask. Training whomever takes calls or appointments, training them to say, well, what made you call us, or how'd you hear about us, or where did you see us, or anywhere else, and sometimes people are going to call and say oh, I saw you on the internet, which is not very helpful, obviously. But sometimes you can probe a little bit. Sometimes you can have some questions oh yeah, well, we did this recently. We were at this event. Were you there? I know that kind of probing feels like a little bit of work, but sometimes it's 10 extra seconds on a phone call and it gives you a little bit more clarity. That human element is really helpful for sure.
Yes, those probing questions are key, not just for gathering that data, but for making your sales appointment stronger and more likely to go well. Here's what I mean by that. So Elizabeth said you can ask, hey, how'd you hear about us? Great, that's surface level. Another thing you can ask, that probing question, is, hey, what did you see that made you want to reach out to us specifically? Because if you're generating leads through your brand, people are seeing your content, they're seeing your truck, they're seeing going to your website. What did you see that made you want to reach out to us? And that gives them an opportunity to sell you on why they like you, right? Oh, I checked out your Google reviews and they were amazing. Or, hey, I really like that video on your website that showed the process, because, I thought it was a big process to get a roof done, but I didn't know that you could actually do it in one day. That was really cool. And that maybe, want to reach out to you guys. Or, hey, my friend worked with you guys, or you're always tagged in local Facebook groups. And just that probing question, number one, again, gives you that data. Number two, now your prospect is explaining like to you why they like you and why they want to reach out to you. And that's just like, that's a great way to start sales appointment. So yeah, don't be afraid to have those conversations.